Hello, everybody. Again, my gratitude for our conversation this past Saturday and the wonderful feeling of connection that being in this class with you engenders for me. Today, I'm going to talk about perhaps one of the most important central concepts of Taoist thought, and perhaps one of the most misunderstood. And that's the idea of Wu-Wei, W-U-W-E-I. In Chinese, the word Wu is like no or not. It's a negation of what comes later. So Wei means action or to do or to take effort. And Wu-Wei means, often translated, not doing, doing, or no action, or effortless action. The paradoxical effortless effort. We have lots of experiences of it. Sometimes we don't even realize that we're having that experience because it's an unconscious flow through our lives. Those of you who garden, you know that there are times when you can be in your garden and get lost. There's just what's going on in the garden, the texture, the feel, the sights, the aromas, the nature of the whole thing flowing through your hands. And you can work for long hours and not realize that you're putting forth effort. You end up tired, but it's not the kind of tired that comes from tense muscle resistance, effortful pushing. There are times when the gardening can just be a flow, and it just happens of itself. When Wu-Wei actually occurs, what we have a feeling of is like Lao Tzu's poetic line. When it is accomplished, you say, it did itself. It just did itself. You can feel a little sense of how Wu-Wei operates in your body, that effortless movement, with the opening exercises of Tai Chi. The Tai Chi opening is the raising of the arms and dropping of the arms. And it's kind of distorted here on my camera, but it's an effortless. An effortful raising of the arms is the muscular movement. The effortless raising of the arms is the breath fills the body, and without a perceived sense of effort, the arms just drift up and drift down. Another illustration of that, a martial arts teacher talked to me about, was the stiff arm. So if you're holding your arm out like this, and you ask a friend to put pressure on it to see what it takes to push it down, and you hold it stiff, you clench your fist, you mobilize all the muscles in your body, and you resist his pull. And he pushes, and it takes a certain effort to push it down. Then you kind of relax and let your arm just drift up, your wrist loose, your elbow loose, and you imagine the chi, the energy of your body, flowing from the universe through you and out your arm, directed through your fingertips toward the far wall. And you just breathe for a moment and let your arm feel that soft, soft energy. And then have your friend push down. And you just think about keeping your arm in that soft place without the use of muscle. And he'll push, and he'll take, for him, it will be a greater perceived effort to push your arm down now than it was when you were doing this. The soft arm is stronger than the stiff arm. It's one of those paradoxes of the chi in the body. So this softness, this flow, this cooperation with the universe is essential to a full, contented, satisfying human life. And it's so difficult to achieve. One, because it's not an achievement. And we can't get ourselves into that paradox of, I'm really going to try harder today to not try. By golly, today it's going to be Wu-Wei. I'm going to do Wu-Wei, by golly. Am I doing Wu-Wei? Yep, here we go, Wu-Wei. Our conditioned mind wants to be active. It wants to take action. It always, almost always has a sense of urgency. And if it doesn't have anything urgent in the outside world, it can create the urgency inside. I've experienced that these past few days as winter's coming on here in Mount Shasta. A storm has blown in today. No snow yet, but it'll be coming. Cold, 35, 40 mile an hour winds, which for here are quite substantial. They rock the motorhome a little bit where I'm doing my work. They rock the cabin even. So I find myself tensing against that. As the weather changes and the storm and cold moves in, there's a process in my mind that perceives danger, a threat. And not just the make sure you have the propane in the tank, just a relaxed sort of filling up the propane tank and gathering the firewood, but a constant underlying sense of something's dangerous here. And therefore, I'm always bringing that sense of urgency and anxiety into my muscles, into my organs, and into the way I move about the day and the way I think. The mind wants me to take action. And even if that action is just constantly spinning the thoughts, replay, constant endless tape of thinking going through my mind, because to the conditioned mind, that's sort of like taking action. As long as I'm spinning, as long as I'm churning, then I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm satisfying that urgent need for action to protect this thing called Bill. So that ability to bring my spotlight attention to the present moment and relax and sink into just being here and breathing and letting those thoughts settle down is the gateway into a Wu-Wei way of living. It's not only the sensations that go through my mind, but the stories that I attach to those sensations that causes me tension. Wu-Wei is like Newton's third law of physics. When two objects interact, any force that one exerts will be met with a corresponding opposite force. So it's the physics of a rocket engine. The force of the fuel being burned and sent out the exhaust is met with a corresponding opposite force that takes the rocket up into the air. When I push against my hand, I'm going to resist with an opposite force. So anytime I take an action other than Wu-Wei, I am met externally or internally with a corresponding opposite force that arises all by itself as almost a law of action. When I decide that I'm going to do something, there is a process deep in my mind that will decide I'm not going to do it, usually very subconsciously. And I move into the day and I look for the resistance. I look, something's going to go wrong. Even if I'm just moving a screwdriver and feeling the resistance of the screw being driven into the wood, I tighten my arm and my muscles far more than is necessary to screw that screw into the wood. I'm always using far more force and effort than is necessary, because I'm always constellating this opposite force. There's a great deal of patience necessary to live with a Wu-Wei flow in my life, because my culture is so doggone urgent that that powerful message slips into me that I can't just sit here. It's wrong somehow to wait, to let things arise by themselves. And so I have some practices of just putting on some quiet music, or especially doing Tai Chi and Qigong, reading soothing books, taking a walk, anything that takes my attention, the spotlight of my attention away from the conditioned mind. And when I take the spotlight of attention away from conditioned mind, the flow of Wu-Wei is available to me. We get into the traps even in our spiritual quest or our spiritual searching. We talked last week about the idea of self-improvement, ensuring that there will always be a self to improve. But still, we want to make some changes in our lives. We want to have a reduction in the cacophony of noise and thoughts and the chaos of our culture, and we want balance, and we want peace, and we want contentment, and we want a sense of connection in our lives. And our conditioned mind will say, let's go after that. Let's go get that peace. Let's create that contentment. Let's go find balance somewhere. Yeah, by golly, let's go march for peace. And it doesn't work for us. All the things we're looking for need to come to us Wu-Wei. The minute I have a spiritual intention, I constellate a resistance to that spiritual intention. And my spiritual life becomes one more effort-filled task of my conditioned mind. And we're asked again can you just patiently wait until these qualities arise in you of their own accord? Because they're natural for you. They will arise. They are there. They don't have to be created. They don't have to even be sought. They're there when the rest of it quiets down and falls away. This urgency to change the way we act and behave and think needs that solve of a Wu-Wei approach to my spiritual daily life. I don't have to get better. I am better. What's there when the rest of it falls away is just exactly what I'm seeking. So I sit here with the wind and the rain and the past and the future and all their accompanying stories and myths and the considerable resistance that arises in my thoughts. And I'm willing to let my attention just be spacious and do the things that let my attention focus on spaciousness. And so last night I laid in bed and listened to the rain on the roof and felt the wind rock. And gradually a sense of peace came in that I didn't create. It didn't come from any effort, even a spiritual effort. With no effort on my part, peace emerged. The beautiful Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh talks about peace is every step. Every step I take in peace. I walk slowly and mindfully. I live peace. I don't find peace. I live in peace. Each breath is peace. Each action is peace. From his Vietnamese Buddhist, Zen Buddhist perspective, he has found deep Wu-Wei. Social activism is another place where we drift away and from that natural quality of effortless action. It's difficult to sit patiently, to sit quietly while injustice and ignorance and all the chaos of our culture swirls around us. How can you just sit there? You've got to do something. How do you do something in the face of such a complex, intertwined, culturally embedded set of issues? For me, it's manifested gradually in personal small steps of disengagement, of recusing myself from those elements of my society that I've come to believe are harmful and no longer participating in them. And that's personal. It's something that arises personally for me. I find myself today not doing dozens of things that I would have naturally done 10, 20 years ago. But it's coming from a place of having sat with it and watched and focused my attention on the spaciousness of Wu-Qi and Wu-Wei. Wu-Qi, remember, is the nothing, no thing. Wu-Wei is no effort. So out of that sense of the spacious abundance of no particular thing, of the Wu-Qi of the cosmos, comes no effort. And so Wu-Wei is rooted in that. My Zen teacher, a woman I've been quoting an awful lot in the past few weeks, I noticed, once said, Bill, if you'd like to take action on a certain issue, by all means, if you're Wu-Wei, if it naturally arises in you to do something, to get yourself involved in something, to take action in a certain area, do it. And do it with all your willingness and with all your energy. Let your energy flow into that. But keep these two things in mind. Never blame anyone and never recruit anyone. So how would you like to live your social activist's life? Obeying those two dictates. I can take any social action I want, but my actions must never be in the area of blaming someone, and I must never try to recruit someone. I simply do what I do. No blame, no recruitment. Blame always constellates resistance, of course. I blame something or somebody and a resistance arises. Recruitment also constellates resistance. Recruitment always has an element of, you should be doing this. Some element of blame and shame in it, that somehow I need to convince you that this is something you should be concerned about. And when I hear someone telling me I should, even if it makes great sense to me, what occurs is a resistance, a natural resistance to a force. But go ahead, do whatever is arising in you in the field of social activism, and watch your actions and watch the intricacies of the things you do and say, and see if you can eliminate all sense of blame and recruitment from your words and your actions. Another kind of a misunderstanding that creeps into Wu-Wei is that effortless action means no action. That if I sit here, then I'm going to just sit here. That it's going to make me lazy and disengaged and uncaring. And that's just my conditioned mind telling me that. I will take action. You will take action. It's just a question of where that action will emerge from. Wu-Wei action that arises out of a stiffness and a rigidity will create resistance and accomplish little. But that idea that we're doing nothing and everything gets done, that's one of Lao Tzu's lines. We do nothing and everything gets done. And the implication is we don't take effort. We don't try to do anything and everything gets done. We not only act when it's time to act, but we act with great energy because it's naturally arising in us. And this brings me to the final essential nature of Wu-Wei. Wu-Wei exists because we are interconnected, because we are part of just one life living, one Tao, one cosmos, one thing emerging. We are not separate little isolated cells, each given the task of somehow surviving and ordering the arena around us in a way that will enhance our survival. We don't have to take effort because we're part of one greater thing happening. A little red blood cell in my body doesn't have to see an infection coming in and all of a sudden think it has to be a white cell or a T cell. It doesn't have to, oh my gosh, I better, we got to fight this infection. There are people doing that. The white cells are coming. You go about doing your little red blood cell thing. That's what you're supposed to do. You're carrying oxygen to every part of the body. Do it, man. And when the cell is part of that, there's no effort on the part of a little cell. I mean, my analogy may break down here a little bit, but we're part, like a cell, of the cosmos, of the Tao. We're not separate in any way. The only separation that exists here. And because it exists here, it creates this shell of tension around the physical body and the emotional processes. We don't feel safe. We can't be patient. It is urgent. We must somehow take care of things. But what if I don't have to take care of things? What if I'm part of a natural flow of things that will take care of things, that will flow through me and move me and act through me in the way that's most appropriate for this Billness to behave, whether it's just in his emotions or in the actions he takes in the world, the way he relates to people, the way he relates to Nancy, the way he relates to the gophers in the yard. What if something moves through Bill so that his abilities to move through the world are not effortful, but naturally emerge because he's part of something that's much wiser, much bigger, much more profound, and much more capable than his conditioned mind is. If I'm not connected, if I am separate, if my conditioned mind is telling me the truth, then I have to just always be on guard. I have to take action all the time. I can rest only when I've got things pretty much arranged, and even then I can't totally rest. I must be on my guard to survive all my life if I'm not connected. But what if it's true that I am connected? If I am connected, then the very life and wisdom of the Tao is what energizes and animates my existence. It flows through me and it contributes my energy to the whole. And it accomplishes everything that needs to be done. And it accomplishes it without what my conditioned mind would perceive as effort. I simply live and life lives through me. I'm I am Wu-Wei. So this coming week, whether it's in the crazy thoughts, the monkey mind, you've heard the term monkey mind. I have a Tai Chi teacher who says, it's not a monkey mind. It's an adolescent monkey who's gotten into his parents' liquor cabinet mind. It's crazy. So whether am I dealing with my adolescent monkey who's gotten his parents' liquor cabinet mind or the external world around me, I have the ability to do that naturally and effortlessly. It flows. May your week be one of profound flow. I'll see you Saturday.